It's no secret that it takes a lot of hard work to be an entrepreneur. Like success just doesn't happen overnight. However, if you have the right foundational pieces in place, your life can be a heck of a lot easier. And that's what we're talking about today with my friend, Case Lane. Episode 164 starts right now. Hey there, welcome to the Lora Shipman Show. We hang out here weekly to talk about things like social media, entrepreneurship, marketing, tools, strategies, tips, and it all starts right now. Hey there, before we get started with this show, I just want to share my passion with you. I love teaching people just like you how to master social media for business, breaking it down into easy to consume and easy to execute steps so that you can see immediate results. So whether you want to start a social media consultancy or grow your brand's presence on social media, I can help. I can help you get started and master all the things that you need to know. So I want you to go over to my website. It is filled with resources, tools, tips, and courses. Visit lorashipman.com. That's LORA shipman.com to get all the goods. Now you ready for the show? I know I am. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited you're here with me today because I have a special guest. Her name is Case Lane. She is an author, entrepreneur, and the founder of Ready Entrepreneur Plus. She is a rock star. She's written 17 books, has 3 pen names, and 7 different genres that she writes for. Case, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so thrilled to have you. You're just so interesting to talk to. I know when we set this podcast up, I think we chatted for quite a long time. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah. It was great. I enjoyed our conversation, and I just find you so intriguing and interesting. So don't keep it a secret. Let our audience know just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'll do the quick version of how I came to here. That's what we were getting into. So I've had multiple careers. I started out like so many doing what everyone was supposed to do, going to college and going into to work. But I went first to the Canadian Foreign Service. I was a diplomat, traveled the world. And then I left to do an MBA, went to corporate, and I was a management consultant. I was an operations executive in Hollywood behind the scenes. And then I left, went to law school. I'm also a lawyer.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that part.
But in all of that, I started ebook self-publishing. And I just love what technology has done for all of us in sort of bringing down barriers, pushing away the gatekeepers. I know some people don't like it at all. They want everything to go through gatekeepers, but it has allowed us all to see just so much more of what's out there and for everybody to really get their knowledge and their experience and their stories out there. So I started ebook self-publishing. I love the fact that I could publish, put my books on Amazon and so on. But that also opened up the entire online entrepreneurship world. When I first started, I get hearing about terms like lead magnets and landing pages and all these things I'd never heard of. And then I got into all of that as well. And I decided to work full-time as an entrepreneur online, building a business to help other people to just navigate this online business world, which I think is just so crucial to all of our futures. It's not, sometimes people think of entrepreneurs as that sort of somebody in their garage or something, but nowadays an entrepreneur is just, it's all still that, but it's everyone also who has something to offer the world, knowledge, experience, just an interest, a skill, a hobby that you can help other people see the value in it. You can help solve people's problems, help them with products and services they want or need. Like there's just so much opportunity. There's so many people interested, especially in the last couple of months now that we've all been online all the time. So that's where I decided to focus my attention on with Ready Entrepreneur, which is the business I started to help people move forward.
So tell us what Ready Entrepreneur is. What is that business all about?
So that's actually preparing aspiring entrepreneurs to understand the online business world. Because I think what tends to happen, and this is starting to, maybe because of competition, sort of slow down a bit, but there's a lot of noise, people promising that you can make $1 million in 10 minutes doing nothing, and for a lot of people who want to do something online, they see all these people living what I call the Instagram life, everything they were traveling the world and everything all glamorous and beautiful. And but they also see other people doing really interesting things. And so people are looking at that thinking, wow, I'd really like to be doing that as well. But how do you even get started? Like, just take social media platforms. Some people say only be on one, other people say be on all of them. Some
Right,
people,
exactly.
so how do you know? And so what I like to do is to help people figure out, all right, here's what all the platforms look like. Here's what the value is of each one in terms of audiences, and not just that, but the way you use them. If you're in a photograph driven business of some kind, recipes, travel, and so on, Instagram's where you want to be. If you would like to write long posts, you could be on Facebook. If you want to use links, you could be on Pinterest, and they link out to other things. So a lot of people don't know those things about social media platforms. And part of it is that they don't have the time to really spend on it. A lot of people, who want to be online and working still 9-to-5 jobs and everything. And people also tend to think it's a young person's game, but it's not anymore.
No.
I mean, it's everybody's game now. So it's just a matter of understanding what to do and navigating through it. So I help people figure out things like that, the social media platform, but also which platform you like to use in general to spread your message and deliver value. So do you like to write? You can be, a blogger. Do you like to make videos? You can be on YouTube. And we work through all of that to determine exactly what would be the best place to start. Now, you might find out, well, you thought you liked to write, but
That's
really
right.
you prefer to podcast. So,
Yeah.
that happens also. So that's fine. And that's another thing I tell people, it's not a one-time thing. Like, you could start somewhere, you could switch gears, you could change, you could stop. I mean, everybody is still learning it in a way, the business is still developing. And so there's absolutely no specific rules about it. That's the great thing about it, actually.
That's what I love about being an entrepreneur is there's no real rule book or guidebook, really. And so it's the wild, wild west still, even though the internet's been around for a while and we've been doing this for a while. I have a couple of questions. Like,
sure.
I guess the first one is, so you basically consult people and help them get from point A to point B as they're going through their internet journey. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm before everyone else, I like to say, because I'm for the people who aren't sure. Like, some people know for sure they want to become a blogger, so you can go online and sort of go with all the blogging gurus and so on. But a lot of other people just haven't decided. Maybe you want to set up a store, or you're not sure how to do something you're interested in, but you don't have the time to manage it. So how do you outsource everything? How do things like that? So I'm at the beginning of the process, helping everyone see the big picture.
Okay.
And then figuring out how you would go forward from there.
Like building that foundation so they've got all their pieces in place. Okay, cool. And then the second question, and I think people are asking this question right now, especially since a lot of us have been working from home, is the online space too crowded right now? Is it too diluted? Like, can we still make a name for ourselves out there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And the reason is, think about what people are doing online. They're searching. They're searching for information, whether it's on Google or Instagram, or, they're searching hashtags for a specific subject. They're on Pinterest, they're searching. They're on YouTube is the second biggest search engine now.
Yes.
And so if everybody's searching, that means that they don't have all the information they want.
Or that they can find. Right. Okay. Right. So that makes sense.
And they don't have it maybe in the way that it works for them. So I always point to the diet industry. How many diets are there? There's a new one every day.
Yes.
Now, you could say, is it the diet industry saturated? Well, no, because there's a new one every day. And why is there a new one every day? Because people have not found one that works for them. And you can apply that to everything.
You're so right, because people learn differently. They resonate with people differently, all the things. Okay, I love that. And I hope for our listeners out there, they're really thinking about it, that, okay, there's still space for me. There's still room for me. I'm going to dive in. So diving in, tell us about your latest book.
My latest book is called Recast. So now, if you're in the steel industry, you might be thinking, oh, isn't that when you melt the steel down and reform it as something else? Yeah. I say, yes, absolutely. Yes. And if you're in Hollywood or on Broadway, you might think, isn't that when they replace the role? Absolutely. So you see where I'm going with that. But it's for yourself. This is when you're recasting into your entrepreneurial mindset. So the subtitle is the Aspiring Entrepreneur's Practical Guide to Getting Started with an Online Business. And I start with Recast because the first step is to just do that, is to switch your mind in a way around not everything, but around how you want to approach this. Like we've just been talking about some of these beliefs that you might have. You just to leave your mind open to the fact that you can now do something online, that you have a skill and a talent, a unique perspective, a unique delivery, because it's not just the product or service that you're making. Think about, the iPhone. Think about, a mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
So there are thousands of mobile phones,
yes.
but the presentation of the iPhone makes it the favorite, makes it the most popular. It's about the way that it looks and the way it's marketed, and then the big fan club built around it. So it's not just the product or service you offer, but your delivery of it is also what will attract your community and your customers that are interested. So when you start out, it's taking a minute to think about how you are going to switch now to be one of the people who participates in playing a new role in your own life. So you have been perhaps in corporate for years, you've been working, you've done the 9 to 5, and it hasn't delivered for you what you want. Especially, I think for so many people, it's around your skills. You might be in corporate, maybe you've even got a great job and a big title, but you're never able to really use your skills the way you want to. You're not able to express yourself the way you want to. You have so much more to offer. And that's when it comes in that you can start recasting and thinking yourself as a person who is a leader in that particular, I call it the niche of the niche, because it's your unique perspective within a niche, because you still want to be in a niche, but then you want a niche of a niche, which is you. And so you start to think of yourself, you recast your mind first to begin to think that. And then what you're doing is going forward. The foundational part is just setting yourself up to be an entrepreneur. So I even go to the most basic things like finding a place to work. And I take this from talking to people who love to come up with excuses about why they haven't got their business started yet. And that's a common one. Well, the kitchen table the kids were using it or whatever. It's like, no, we're not going there. We're going to take a step back and work out these details. And again, especially if you're coming from corporate where you had a nice office and everything was set up properly and so on, do that for yourself at home. When you go to set up as an entrepreneur, don't give yourself that excuse. Spend a day walking the house, trying to figure out where you want to work, what looks good, where you'd put your supplies, where you're going to have your coffee, where you're going to have your water. It sounds mundane, but these are the things that end up blocking people. Because I can't really get any work done today because I can't figure out a good spot in the house, or the Wi-Fi is not working here in the basement or whatever. Right.
Right.
It's and people are surprised when I say start there. But what it also does, it helps with your recasting, because now you're thinking about yourself as a business person. And you might not even be working from home. Maybe you're going to check out all the local, when you can, when it's open again, you can check out all the local coffee shops, the library, different places like that. But it starts to put your mind in that place where you're now an online entrepreneur, and you need to figure out your space, your office, and it could be, just a humble spot. It could be an empty closet in the house, whatever. And then as you're doing that, you'll start to be thinking about everything else as well. So the first step, that foundational step, is setting up your space where you're working, getting your tools together and so on, and then your schedule. So especially if you are somebody who is, sharing a home with a family and so on, you want to make sure that the time that you're setting aside to work, let's say when you want to be on a podcast interview or something like that, you want quiet, you have to align that with everybody else. If you're working from home and you didn't realize that, the school bells are ringing at a certain time, or the garbage truck's coming down the street at a certain time, whatever, And again, these are things that end up blocking people. It sounds very mundane and trivial when you're like, why are we going through this checklist? But it's really so that you don't end up having these things hit you later on. Because when you go to work in a new job, they set you up. Like, you forget that. Like, when you walk in, HR takes you around, gives you a nice office or a nice cubicle or whatever. All the supplies are there. You know where things are. So you actually have to do this for yourself. And then once you've set that foundational world for yourself, you could begin on the creative part, which is actually getting the business going. And it might take you just a day to set that up.
Yeah.
But some people it takes like a week or longer.
Well, but it's true, because I'm sitting here, I've transformed my dining room into my office, right?
Yes, yeah.
And there's certain times of the day where I cannot record a podcast because
Mhm.
we live in Florida, right? And
Okay.
everybody's got a lawn care company that decides
Yes.
to like fire up randomly throughout the week. And I've had that
Yes.
happen to me before where
Right.
to stop recording because you
Right.
can hear the lawnmower from next door coming through my microphone.
Exactly.
But it's all those little things that you don't think about when
Yes.
you're setting up your business at home. I love that you do that. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Okay, so we went through like how to set up your foundational
Mhm.
business
Mhm.
for your entrepreneurial business. You just mentioned, how do we get the business and the
Yeah.
creative part of it? That I think is also a big stumbling block for people.
It is. It is. And so I start with the business idea. So for people who don't have an idea at all,
Mm,
then I start with, let's go through your interests. So, and I mean listing everything possible. So let's talk about your education, work experience, and so on. But what are your real interests? What are your real hobbies? Where do you like to spend your time? And some people don't even realize when I say, what have you been talking about lately? And it turns out to be, whatever was on Netflix.
right, right.
Oh, okay. Well, do you really like Netflix that much that you could build a business around it? Yes, there are people doing things like that. It doesn't have to be just some sort of real professional expertise, and I put in air quotes. It can be, and even, or something that you just haven't had time to look into, but you really
Mhm.
wanted to get into more. Maybe, you have a garden, but you've never spent any time out there. And if you really just thought about it, you could get into that and you could build a business around the research that you would be doing anyway.
So
And
I have a
mhm,
question for you. Do you
yeah.
have any like clients that you've worked with or people you've worked with in the past that have maybe something really obscure that maybe you never thought of as a business that they had an interest in? Is there anything that stands out?
I have, I don't know, obscure. Well, I have one who, for example, built a following around a popular TV show,
Uh-huh.
and now wants to turn it into business. I won't say yet because we don't know, but it's just the idea. The following was built up online, and
Uh-huh.
then the idea now is to build a bigger community around it, and to
Uh-huh.
have events and like a storefront and different things all around this popular show.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, the reason why I ask that is because people may not be thinking in that vein,
Right,
right? Like
right.
they're thinking more like you were saying structured business type thing, but I love how you pull interests like that out and
Yes.
there is a way to make it into a business.
And I'll give an example that's live that I got this example from a conference. One of the first conferences I went to was called Craft and Commerce.
Okay.
And the person speaking on stage, Cassidy Tuttle, owns Succulents and Sunshine.
Oh,
And that is a website around succulents. And if
uh-huh.
you were like me at the time, I was like, what exactly is a succulent? So it's
Right?
a plant. I would equate it, since I'm out in the desert, I'd equate it to a cactus, but that might be wrong. I don't want the succulent people to get mad at me. So, don't get mad at me. But this was one of those big light bulb moments when I was first getting into this was back in 2017,
Hmm.
where I was like, yeah, she had actually received a succulent as a gift.
Hmm.
And so knew nothing at all, but started doing the research around it and realized there was this whole world of other people who knew nothing and wanted to know more, and built a business that includes courses, books, a blog, a storefront, and a community.
Wow.
Yeah, around a gift. And so starting out as the one person who knew nothing about it now has the business around it. So I think that's a great example to look up online, Succulents and Sunshine. If you're thinking that your business has to be something very, specific around your work experience or something like that, no, it could be just something you're interested in, that you're going to spend time researching. You want to, and so if you're going to spend the time anyway, why not aggregate all that research in one place
Yeah.
and make it and bring the community that's also interested in it to you as well?
That's awesome. So I need to go visit that website because I just recently massacred a bunch of succulents by
There you
mistake.
go.
I really didn't mean to do that.
That turns out that's involved. That's
So her business, yes, I'm going to go check that out after we're done.
excellent. Yeah.
It's too funny. Okay, so I know we went down a little bit of a rabbit trail there. So we were talking about the creative part of it,
Mm.
and so where did we leave
Yeah.
off?
So we were still with the business idea.
Okay.
So starting with that business idea. So again, if you don't have an idea, we'll go through everything, all of your interests, all of your hobbies, everything like that. And then what you do is pinpoint from there the passion piece of it, I call it. That, that may sound too strong, but it's not just, so it's okay, I have a succulent. Now, what do I want to do about my interest? Is it that I want to just research succulents? Do I want to build a community of people who love succulents? Do I want to, start a store? So that's what you do next. Once you have figured out, which one of these items is the one that I'm interested enough in that I want to take it to the next level, then what's that next level I want to take it to?
Okay.
Now, I will say a word, of course, about the market, because it's one thing to love something yourself, but if you really want to build a business, you do need to know other people are interested. And I think that comes up almost automatically when you start searching. When you start looking for your particular subject online, when you start seeing what other people are talking about in Facebook groups, when you see where the Google trends are and so on, you'll get a sense of the community out there and what their issues are. So if you want to take that time to go, if you're not quite even sure, like, yes, I like this subject, but I'm not quite sure what people need from me in this space, then you take a step back and you just start going out into the world of where those people are, your potential customers or clients are. You start listening in, you start contributing to the conversation, seeing where the questions are coming from, and you can get an idea then of exactly what angle you could take to build your business on.
So are you talking like going to maybe Facebook groups surrounding that interest, or like Reddit boards or things like that? Okay.
Exactly. And also, So exactly. Look there and looking for subject specific forums as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Then what is next on our to-do list after that?
And then I always say it's great. So now I've sort of overlapped here because I do talk next around reaching out to those who have done it before.
Oh, okay.
So this could take many different forms. If you know people who are entrepreneurs, then you, of course, can just reach out to them directly and speak to them. If you don't know people who are entrepreneurs, you can start following those that you admire, that you're interested in, that sort of speak your language, like do what are doing things the way you like, even if it's not in the subject you're interested in, but you like the way that they present things. Like I join a lot of people's email lists because I want to see what they're talking about. I want to see how they're presenting things, and it's interesting. And you can always unsubscribe. That's another thing. Like, don't feel bad or whatever. Like, people know that some people are just checking things out. So you could sign up for the mailing list, get the free lead magnet and read it. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe, or get their emails for a couple of months. You don't like it, unsubscribe. But you're just trying to figure out if there's a couple of things you're looking at is how you really want to see how they're doing it. When I first started, I was buying online courses and going through them all, and some were working, some parts of it would work. Like it was never like the grand success, right?
Yes.
And then, so then I took a step back and I said, okay, wait, I want to look at what these people who sold these courses are really doing. So I want to, what are they really doing to be successful? What are their real activities that their actions speak louder than words, as they tell us. So you go in there and follow, and even if it's not your particular subject, but you just want to look at the style and the structure of how they approach online entrepreneurship. So I always put that element in there. Obviously, if you can talk to people one-on-one, that's great. If not, you can attend conferences, you can meet people, and you can follow them online. You can look at their videos, you can listen to them on podcasts and so on, and get a sense of it that way. Because what you're trying to do is get this overview. As I was saying it right in the beginning, that a lot of people just jump right in, or they hear the guru, promising the world, and so they just follow them, verbatim. But in fact, you do need to take a minute to just figure out if it's the right thing for you. And I don't want to do it forever. Like that, there is analysis paralysis and all of that. So this is not, a 10-year research project before you get started. I'm always about action, but this is knowing what actions to take. Knowing which actions make sense to you and having a better sense of the context. Like, why did they tell me I could do it this way? Or why do people think that blogging is dead? Or why do they think that videos are the most important thing? Like, what's the context for it? And you'll get that as you really watch what people are doing. So I really add that in as an important element to just sort of check everyone out.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable advice, because you'll learn things from all sorts of different people, and you might take a piece from here and a piece from there, and then it becomes your own unique framework of doing something.
Absolutely.
You just never know how that's going to map out. Yeah. Definitely. But I do agree with you. Like, you can get into that what do they call? Well, the analysis paralysis is part
Hmm.
of it, but you're always consuming content, but never really actually doing
Yes.
anything with it. That's a
Yes.
danger too.
It is. It
Yeah,
is. And I could be accused of that. I'm one of these
me
people.
too.
I love all knowledge.
Me
Give me
too.
knowledge all day long.
Yep, me too. I am the same way. Like, yes, but I have gotten like a lot of good ideas from doing that,
Yes.
because you see what their style is, what works for
Hmm.
them, and then figure out how you can make it work within your own natural style, and
Absolutely.
how you can change it up a little bit
Yeah.
too, make it better.
Yeah. I
Cool.
am. I have an example of, I joined the email list of a romance writer named Joan Johnson. Some of you might
Uh-huh.
know her. And because I have a romance series, and Joan sends the most beautiful emails I've ever seen.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I thought, nowhere in any formal course have I taken or anything like that have people talked about emails that use color and photos the way that she does.
Oh, I have
And
to
if you
check her out.
and yeah, if you look at she writes cowboy romances, but that's not even, the email is about her. She loves to do table decorate. It's kind of like a Martha Stewart type thing. Like if you just glanced at it, you'd think, oh, this is a Martha Stewart home, direct decorating thing, not a romance author's monthly email. But she does a theme-based table setting,
Oh,
and then talks about whatever the season. I think she just did summer, so she just did the summer one. And then after that, she says, oh, by the way, here's my latest book, or here's my latest audiobook, or whatever. And I don't even know, like my email provider doesn't even do this, like different color backgrounds and all this stuff. I don't even know how she does that. But I thought, wow, this is something nobody's ever mentioned. Like this is an email that catches your eye, even if
mhm.
you're not in the least bit interested in what she's talking about. You're just going to take a look because it's so pretty. And, so, and yet, I've never heard anyone talk about doing emails that look like that. They all talk about the copy and all that kind of thing.
Right.
But and so and that was free. I signed up for her email list and got to see that. So when you're out there and you're searching, like look at these ideas. And if you look at my emails now, yes, I use lots of photos too. But when you're out there, just seeing what people are doing, you'll get these ideas and you'll realize why it makes sense. Like, yeah, you just want to attract people's attention. People know it's an email from you because it's such a distinctive style.
Hmm.
And they'll probably glance through because it's always the same setup, little write up about the season, little write up about the latest book. And then like she usually has a giveaway or something at the end. So you just can kind of glance through it. And so that's something as well. You think, okay, I want to make my email standardized all the time. So what you're doing is you're analyzing it for the structure and the approach. And then as a consumer, you can see yourself. You think, yeah, I would stop and look at that. So my community will probably stop and look at if I do, something similar or what have you. So this is why it's always important to sort of keep an eye on what everyone's up to.
Yeah.
And not just what they're telling you in their courses, but what they're really.
Truly, truly, because that's probably where the success is what they're
Yes.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Perfect
Yeah.
sense. I love that.
And that's why I like, that's why I always say the context, because I think a lot of the courses, and a lot of them are very good. I've taken some very good courses. I've learned a lot and I've set up everything based on that. But the context is always what worked in that moment for that person.
Hmm.
And the internet changes like daily,
Oh my
even,
gosh. Yeah.
minute by minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when you go to look up something like when I was first getting into Pinterest, and you go to look at the videos on YouTube, and the screenshots are not even the same of what the platform looks like today,
I know.
and those are the videos at the top of the feed. So those are the most popular videos, but they're already out of date.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
yeah, it happens constantly. And I know a lot of the big courses, they're constantly updating. I will go back. That's another thing. You make an investment. I do like online courses. You make an investment, make sure that it's one that gives you perpetual updates, so that, because they do actually every now and then go back and update things. But in general, that you do have to understand what's the context, when was this done, and don't be alarmed when you go to look at something and it's not at all what they just told you,
Yeah.
because the platforms just change. And no, they don't issue press releases when they change. They just do it. So you just have to
Right.
deal with it.
Right. It's like secret stuff there.
Yeah.
Too funny. Too funny. So as we're in this creative mode here, what else do we need to do after we've gone to somebody who's done it before and seen what's up?
Yeah. So now we've got the idea, we know what we want to do, we've talked to people, and now we're going to do a research and get the plan together. So
Okay.
so the research starts to come down to, at this point where you've already looked at your idea and you've figured out what your, what I again call the passion side of the idea, like how you're going to go forward with it. Then depending on who you are, some people like to really get into this about what, let's say you want to be a blogger. So some people want to spend 3 days reading everything about how to be a blogger online, and other people are just like, give me a website and I'm going to start writing. So that's what you have to decide next. You do enough research that allows you to take the next step.
Okay.
So that's how I like to say it, because I also prefer an iterative approach, because I don't want you to get bogged down and thinking you have to keep researching forever. But if you're absolutely not sure what is a blogger and how do I even set up a website, then absolutely you can move forward with, researching first before you start doing. One of the questions that people often ask is, okay, what do I have to do? The reverse is what I could pay someone else to do.
Okay.
You don't have to do anyone. You don't have to do anything. You can pay someone to do everything. So this is a very important point, because I think a lot of people are afraid, like, oh, I don't want to learn how to build websites. You don't have to do that.
That's good news.
What you do have to learn how to do, though, is figure out how to delegate and assess the results that you get back. And that's not always easy, because, again, it's a completely different world. You're in the online business world. So how do you know if somebody can create a good website or not? So this becomes part of your research.
Okay.
If you see a website you love and I want something exactly like that, and I don't want to build it myself, you can reach out and ask them who builds your website. You can just ask. Sometimes it's even there, in the fine print, you can see who built it. Or you could see if it's a particular theme. And so themes are the color scheme and the layout and so on. You could actually buy those. And there are, I don't even know how many millions of themes there are. You can buy a theme that looks good and just have that. So don't be afraid about just going forward. If you don't want to do it, you can hire somebody to do it, but your expertise then becomes assessing the work. You can hire somebody to do your graphics, your logos. I cannot even barely draw stick figures. I'm not like, I outsource that, or I keep it super simple. So that's another thing. If you just want to move forward, let's say money's tight, you don't want to be spending money on graphics and logos and things like that. There are free sites like Canva, which have lots of beautiful pictures. All you have to do is change the text. So you can use a site like that. There you've got it made for you already. Just keep it simple. I tend to show people very simple websites like James Clear. He is a mega blogger, a best-selling author, and his website is black and white. You don't have to have fancy pictures. You don't have to have moving videos. And I know people will say, oh, but I see so-and-so so famous and they've got everything. Their site is so fabulous. And everything. Yeah, it's beautiful because they've got a team of 20 people who do all that work for them.
That's right.
And so the process in online business is everybody starts struggling and it's all very simple and so on. But as they rise, they buy people to work on stuff for them. And so by the time that you get the course that shows all their beautiful web pages and everything, there's 20 people behind that process. And it's a little unfair to the average student, to say, hey, you could do this too. It only takes 5 minutes. Like, no, it never takes. 5 minutes to write an email saying, can you do this?
Right. It's so true.
I say keep it as simple as possible if you're first starting out, or if you've got the money to spend on it, then you hire people. But when you're outsourcing, that's a separate job because you might get lucky and the first person you give something to, they do a great job and then you just hire them all the time.
Right.
But you have to be prepared for the work not to be your vision. Nobody can read your mind and it's very, very difficult. I tried this with book covers, for example. And I get an idea in my mind. And again, I can't even draw it. So I'm trying to explain it. And I go on Amazon, try and find similar ones and so on. But it's difficult to do that. And it takes time. So that's another thing, people aren't prepared for that, like how long it's going to take just to get the right people in place to do that work. But it's part of it. So you have to decide up front how you're going to manage that. Do it yourself, even if it's for just a half hour, to see what it's about and see where you hit roadblocks, also so that you don't put it bluntly, so you don't get ripped off. So when you want to have a general idea of how things get done, and there's a lot of free sites that you can go to and check things out, because you don't want somebody to tell you, oh, it's going to cost you $10,000 to do a website or whatever. When you played with it a bit, you spent a little bit of time on WordPress and you think, I just don't want to get into this myself. but you could see how, how long it should take somebody and what they should be charging per hour. So you can do those calculations yourself. I want this to be part of the process because what I'm trying to avoid is the frustrations that could get people to quit, and because I really feel like online business is obviously it's here to stay, but it's bigger than that. I think there has to be a large percentage of us that have our own independent, self-sufficient businesses, because and you've seen in the last couple of months, like everybody has to be online. And wouldn't it be great if you're online and it's also producing a little extra income stream for you? It's giving you some freedom, it's helping you improve your skills, build your professional satisfaction. Like if that's all coming together, then getting frustrated and quitting is not going to help. So I try to figure out, for what I've done, we're working with people is like, okay, where people hit roadblocks. And that's one of the places like, I've said this to the 10th person on Fiverr and it's just not right, but not what I want. And so I would say, just take it slowly, take a step back, work through it. You will eventually find that person who does it exactly the way you want. Get referrals. If you see something you like, ask somebody. They may or may not reply. If it's a really big website, it's a really big name, they might not reply. But if it's a smaller website and they really like their designer and they want to help them get more business, they'll tell you who they are. So just as part of your research that you're going through is also looking at what you like so that you have examples that you can use and give to other people that might do that work for you.
That's really good advice. And I like how you say to actually get your hands dirty a little bit, figure it out. And because that will unravel like a bunch of stuff that, or give you some red flags to look for and things like that. I think that's really important. Wow. Yeah. That's really good. So is that, are we through the entire...
We're almost done. We just still have the plan.
We still have the plan. I forgot about planning.
But it's an action plan. I always want to emphasize it's an action plan, not a business plan. I know it's a big frustration. If you look up how do I start a business, they'll say, write a business plan with financial analysis and market research and everything's like, no, you're writing an action plan. You may not even be writing it. What I like to do is just put it out on a schedule. So you've decided what you want. You have your business idea. You've decided what platform you're going with. You're going to be a blogger, a podcaster. You're going to make videos. You've decided who's doing the work. You're doing it. Someone else is doing it. You have a pretty good idea of how long things will take and what you'd like to deliver as a product and how you'd like to reach your community. During this whole time, you could have set up on social media and already be reaching out to people and beginning to get ideas of what your product or service looks like. So lay out an action plan for yourself of what you want to be doing, step by step by step. And this might even end up then be following a course. That's a great way to just give yourself sort of an organized action plan is to go module by module through a course. Let's say it's a course for creating an online course, or it's a course for starting as a podcaster or something like that. So you can use that as your plan. But the idea is that when you actually go to create a plan, you have enough information in your head that it's something that you can execute on that makes sense, that you've thought these things through, and you're not going to be afraid, okay, if it doesn't work, let's say you decided to start with blogging, but when you finally sit down and put that content together and you're on your website, you've set it up yourself and you're typing away and then you're like, I don't really like this. And that can happen. It can happen. And so hopefully, if you start on a free website, it's not going to be a cost or anything, but you'll find out quickly. Or you might even, before you get into the website, create your first blog in Word or, on a Google Doc or something. And if you don't like the process of sitting down and writing something, or you haven't thought of enough ideas, I keep an endless list of ideas going. They pop into my head. I'll type it into my phone, if I'm standing somewhere. So let's say after a couple of weeks of research and everything, you started making an idea list and blogging topics weren't coming to you, which they should, because if you're doing your research correctly, you can go around and you can find all sorts of ideas. But let's say it's just not resonating with you and you want to move on to something else, then you could do that. But at least and your plan is completely fluid and flexible. It could change and so on, but give yourself a day by day. And so this speaks to earlier, we were talking about when you set your schedule. That's part of it is that, if you're working at full time, 9 to 5, then you have like 2 hours a night to work on your business as you lay out your plan. So let's say you've given yourself 2 hours a night to work on the business. So then you know how much you can get done in those 2 hours. And then you can set your goals. So if your goal is, I'm going to post, let's say you can get a blog written in 2 hours every day. So I'm going to put a blog up every day. and not just post it on my website, but also post it up on Medium or post it up on Facebook or what have you. So at this point, that's what you're laying out. You're laying out all those steps that you want, but you always want the goal in mind. So what's the goal? Do you want to have enough traffic on your website that you can start selling, put ads on it and so on? Do you want to, or have affiliate links, then you can start making money from affiliates? Or if do you have a podcast where you want to make sure that you can drive listenership to the point where you could attract sponsors? So you can set your goal and you can see more clearly what your timeline is, because you've already worked out all the parameters, all the different things you need to do. You know how much time you're giving each day to working on your business. So you should be able to say, okay, I'm going to post a podcast up every week, and I want to drive an extra, every week I want to see 100 more listeners or 1,000 more listeners or what have you. And I'm going to do this, and this to do that, because I've read all these articles about how you drive people to your podcast, or I've listened to a bunch of podcasts from, people who are in it, or I've taken a couple of courses or what have you. You should have a sense of that. And that's when you can lay out your plan. And it's always an action plan.
Yeah, it's always an action plan. That's really good because an action plan is good because you get things done and you're making results and you're chipping away at it every so often. Yeah. So the book that you wrote, is there more detail about what we just went through today in there? Okay. Yes. So what can people expect from that book if they decide to get it?
So a couple of things. First of all, I'm sort of hinting at my underlying philosophy that we are all going to be in an online business of some kind, whether it's what we're in now, where you're still collecting your salary, but working from home online, or it's your own business. But I'm encouraging people to make it your own business because you want to have that independent revenue stream. And I talk about, the beginning of the book talks about just that future. I write future world thrillers too. So I have this, I'm very big on where we're going in the future. And because I think that it's, we've had a tough week in this country. It's first week of June. And we want this underlying need to sort of push education and wealth creation for all. Mm-hmm. And you can do it yourself using the internet, which is this free service sort of that's been given with just endless information, and then, like I said, people searching for even more. Mm-hmm. So you have something to offer. There are people who want or need what you have. You've got the internet that lets you deliver it. So the underlying philosophy at the beginning of the book is, let's do it. Let's get you out there. Let's get your business out there. Be a part of this. It's the future. It's now. And be a part of the online business community. And then I get into the details, similar to what I was just discussing, the foundational details. I go more into detail around how you can get organized at home or in your coffee shop or the library or however you want to do it. I get into those details, things that you want around you that you might have forgotten that you are always in the office and you have to set up at home. And then I get into the creative part as we went through. You're researching your business idea, reaching out to other people, getting your action plan done. And then that sort of lays out in 10 steps, 10 actions, and then a summary from there. So it's really about what I would love to see. And of course, and make sure you email me when you've got your business set up, because that's what I want you to be able to follow. I like step-by-step processes myself. I like just being able to say, okay, I do this, do that. And so what I'd love for you to do is work your way through it, get your business live, and then send me an email. Let me know where I can go find it, and as I could check it out.
Oh, that's awesome. So where in the book's title is Recasting Yourself, and where can people find the book?
So it's going to be coming out. So what I thought I would do, and because I know we're a couple of weeks before the launch date, but I'd love it if you're interested. I want to be able to get you a copy. So what I'm going to do is offer a free copy of my current book, Life Dream, which is 7 Universal Moves to Get the Life You Want Through Entrepreneurship. So if you sign up for that, then I will have you. And when Recast is launched, I will let you know.
And then the Life Dream, that can be found at your website?
It can be found on the website, but also if it's okay, I'll send you the link, and then if it could be in the description or something like that, however you want to let the listeners know.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I'll definitely do that. So we'll put that in the show notes. And then you can also find Case's website at readyentrepreneur.com. Yes. And where else can they find you on social media if they want to connect with you there?
Yes, on Facebook at Ready Entrepreneur HQ, Ready Entrepreneur HQ, okay. On Instagram at Ready Entrepreneur, and on Twitter at Case Lane World.
Wonderful.
And
Case, sorry, did you have one more?
sorry, I was going to say, if you want to email me directly as well, contact case@readyentrepreneur.com.
Awesome. And Case is spelled Case. And Case, this has been wonderful. I'm so excited to have been able to do this podcast with you. Learned so much today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on the podcast today.
Hey there. I just want to say thank you for spending time with me here today. I know your time is super valuable, which is why I am dedicated to providing lots of usable, actionable information in the shortest amount of time possible. Before you go, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. And if you have ideas or topics you would like me to cover in an upcoming show, let me know about it in the comment section provided.